For everybody who might be new here, the plan of action usually is I'll take one book at a time, and we're on the third book now, and I will try to summarize that book, basically by going through each chapter, giving a small summary of what that chapter entails. And this could lead to any part of a discussion, or we can go into a discussion for anything you would like to bring up. So I'll get started. We're in the Spiritual Alchemy book, book number 3. Chapter number 1 expresses spiritual alchemy, tracing its roots to ancient traditions of magic, astrology, and alchemy, which have evolved into modern sciences and practices. Despite historical suppression, alchemical knowledge survived, focusing on transmutation, the philosopher's stone, the elixir of life, and the great work. Alchemists use a symbolic language tied to astrology to conceal their teachings from persecution. Spiritual alchemy seeks to transmute life's experiences into spiritual gold, the eternal ego, through a process akin to material transmutation, using a reverberatory furnace of unselfish love and aspiration to build an immortal spiritual body, achieving self-conscious immortality. And I'll stop there for a moment. Is anybody questioning anything on that first chapter, or want to bring something up related to it?
I'm actually working through the third book myself, so this is perfect.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Anything you want to bring out, just holler.
The only
Okay.
thing
Go ahead.
I feel that transforming yourself through spiritual alchemy is important, because you can learn to dissolve the ego and learn and just love humanity from a place of unselfless love.
Sounds good. I think you've got that down.
I like that last sentence. That's what kept me in the Brotherhood of Light all these years, is the search for self-conscious immortality.
I love you, Jerry.
Okay, I heard somebody, Jill, did you say something?
I was just so excited to see June. I just said, I love you, June.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll go on to chapter 2 summary. This explores the spiritual alchemist perspectives, prioritizing soul development and cosmic welfare over material success. Unlike materialists who value wealth of status, the spiritual alchemist assesses events by their impact on character and universal progress, viewing the universe as a cosmic organism where each soul contributes to the divine plan. 7 spiritual metals: lead, tin, iron, copper, mercury, silver, and gold symbolize these experiences. When purified and combined in the reverberatory furnace of cosmic purpose, these metals transmute into spiritual gold, forming an immortal spiritual body. Now, lead basically refers to selfishness, tin to nobility, iron to aggressiveness, copper to love, mercury to the mind, silver to domesticity, and gold to vitality. Any questions on that summary? Anything somebody'd like to add?
They do also relate to the planets, planetary energies,
Yeah.
or correspondences, of course.
Yes, they do. And that's why we use astrology to basically become the language of alchemy. Chapter 3 emphasizes the spiritual alchemist's view of life's experiences as ores containing real metal, which is soul-affecting realities, and dross, which is material appearances. The focus is on the soul's responses, not external effects, to extract pure metals for spiritual transmutation. The 7 metals previously listed are purified through the constructive attitudes. Lead is refined via resilience in poverty or burdens. Tin through selfless wealth use. Iron, by tolerance and courage. Copper, by redirecting unrequited love. Mercury, through constructive error responses. Silver, via non-attachment to family. Gold persists as the eternal ego. As you saw there, the metals are now taking on certain words, certain conditions. Those are no longer real metals, but spiritual ones. And I'm going to move on to a summary of chapter 4, which is transmutation. This details the spiritual alchemist's transformation of life's experiences into a permanent spiritual body, distinct from spiritual or mental alchemy. Events are neutral. Their value lies in the soul's attitude, impacting character and spiritual growth. The 7 metals, lead, tin, iron, copper, mercury, silver, and gold, are purified, balanced with polar opposites, which is called the flux, and heated in the reverberatory furnace of unselfish love to become spiritual gold. Lead is transmuted by viewing burdens as universal service, fluxed with copper's affection. Tin, transmuted through disciplined generosity, fluxed with mercury's reason. Iron transmutes constructive courage, fluxed with silver's care. Copper transmutes universal love, fluxed with lead's responsibility. Mercury transmutes truth, fluxed with tin's benevolence. Silver via selfless devotion, fluxed with iron's resolve. And gold through purified influence for cosmic good, needing no flux whatsoever. Any questions, comments? We will move on to chapter 6. I'm sorry, chapter 5.
Can I
Go
ask
ahead.
you this? I just was trying to understand. They said it's different from mental alchemy. I
That's
didn't.
right.
And can you just say something about that so I can maybe understand that better?
Mental alchemy is a process that actually strives to change your mental outlook on life. Using the base metals as symbols, they get more into your mental attitude rather than the spiritual as this book
okay.
gets into.
Okay.
And it's a very good book. It's one of my best. I like it.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to chapter 5. This one explores consciousness as central to spiritual alchemy. It transforms life experiences into a perfected spiritual body. Consciousness, which is present in all substances, varies by degrees. It manifests as intelligence, motion, and form. Minerals exhibit selective chemical consciousness, responding to attractions like human desires. Vegetables display sensitiveness, adapting to environments, while animals show instinct-driven simple consciousness. Humans possess self-consciousness, enabling rational thought and intuition, which can access broader truths. Cosmic consciousness unifies the soul with the universe, revealing divine purpose. And divine consciousness, achieved through spiritual alchemy, connects the ego to the spiritual plane, guiding actions by divine intention for universal benefit. This last chapter is rather important. Is there any questions on that one or comments? The reason I say it's important, because we have something called lucidic degrees. Once you've achieved hermetician status, there's another 29 degrees beyond that. No, don't get discouraged. It's a lifelong process. And there's about 7 consciousness that I mentioned here from that chapter that are all special lucidic degrees, all in their own right. They each have a manuscript connected to them. once you've gotten through the books, you will have a good base for learning those Lucidic degrees. Any questions?
And understanding the different levels of the different consciousness,
Yes.
like vegetable consciousness, the mineral consciousness, all 7 layers up to and past the human consciousness, which is in the middle of that. There's a really good thing that once you are a member, that you can get into the Church of Light writings that have done. I think Christopher Gibson wrote these different levels. He wrote some kind of lengthy kind of, some of them are lengthy, but they're well worth a study.
Okay, actually, that was Ken Stone that wrote those.
Ken Stone wrote that. Yeah. Wow, I love that Ken Stone.
Yeah, he did a lot of writing.
Right.
I was very thankful that I had chance to deal with him before he died.
And have you studied that list that I just was trying to
I
read
have.
the whole thing? It's
Yes,
very
I have.
interesting. I've
And
taken it up again and started studying it again. I studied it years ago, and it's always good to do this and look at. And this 3rd book is a basic book. The 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 isn't as basic in my opinion, but 1, 2, 3 is very basic. And I always encourage my students to start with 1, 2, 3, and then you can go anywhere you want.
Hey, Doc, one
Yes.
thing I'll just add is a summary that's provided by Zane. If you guys aren't aware of the courses, 1 through 21, they correspond to the Arcanum 1 through 21. And so course 3 corresponds to Virgo and Isis unveiled, or veiled Isis. And there's a little brief description of that Zane provides. And he says, spiritual alchemy is the science which uses each and every event of life as a means of creating spiritual values. They are purified by separating the external appearance from their real significance and fluxed in proper combination. Should some ingredients be lacking to perfect the transmutation, the events are sought out and added to one's life collection. So I just thought that was a summary of the occult
That was
science
a nice
description
summary,
that
yeah.
Zane gives in the Sacred Tarot about it.
Thank you, Brian. Let me add that Brian and I are co-hosts for these events. And we do this every other week. And you are welcome now to discuss anything you'd like or discuss more on this book. Do we have anything?
Katie's got her hand raised.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead, RJ.
no, somebody has their hand raised.
Oh, here we go. Kate, you got to turn your sound on.
So we're studying our birth chart to assist with this process, right?
It's very helpful to know your birth chart because your birth chart will tell you what your harmonious and discordant aspects are, which will probably show up as one of these metals. And by knowing your disharmonious ones, you'll know what to flux them with in order to gear them towards your spiritual goal.
So I was wondering if you could give us a couple examples from maybe Albert's chart on how that process works.
I was just thinking about that very thing. So I'll give one example real quick and then let Doc give an example. So for example, he mentioned that silver is fluxed with iron. And if you break that down, that means lunar energy, the domestic energy. Antidote is the word that we use a lot of times, is Mars's aggression energy. So say, for example, you have a discordant or overactive Mars energy. So you're aggressive, right? You're too driven in an unpositive way where it becomes, angry or whatever. So a good way to harmonize that energy is to direct that aggression in domestic matters. That doesn't mean to get mad at your spouse. That means use that energy to clean your yard, cut your grass, build something in your house. Or in many cases, the best only use of aggression energy that's probably is, to protect your domestic bliss. So instead of channeling that, towards society at large, harness that energy and bring it in. Another way to do that is, for me personally, if you have an overactive Mercury, that's counterbalanced by Jupiter. What that means is, once you think and think and think and think and think and try to figure out everything, let it go and let the Jupiter energy of luck or spirituality or trust in God take the rest. So you don't just get stuck in that mercurial thinking you can just figure it all out mentally because there's too many things to solve everything. So you do what you can, but then you harmonize that and balance it by trusting the universe to take care of the rest. I didn't mean to, I think about that a lot. So but Doc, back to you.
Kate, you asked about Albert's chart. What explicitly did you want to know about Albert's chart and how we can use his chart as an explanation?
Well, I just knew we didn't like talking about personal charts and stuff, so I was just
And
a
that's
chart
fine.
that I could look at and
Okay.
see. But
If you look at
those were
Albert's,
perfect examples that understood.
and if you look at Albert's chart, you'll see that he has a very dominant sun, and it is very negative. What do you think he might have done in order to turn that to a very positive spiritual goal? Any idea?
Can you repeat
Okay.
that question, please?
Okay, Albert has a very strong sun in his chart, but it's very negative, inharmonious. So what would he add to that in order to turn that into spiritual gold?
Well,
What do you mean,
I
like flexing with moon?
I was thinking the moon also,
Yes, the flux with
the
moon
winter
for
energy.
that
Yeah.
energy to balance that sun.
Well, that's an idea. Actually, with spiritual gold, there is no flux that you can add to it. It's one of those things that you have to turn positive on your own. But how do you do that? June, you got your hand up. What do you think?
I think you must look at the sign and the house and the aspects that that sun is making in the chart to see where the ego is directed in this incarnation. And definitely apply the positive aspects of the sun, which is leadership, and the opposite is like ego. I mean,
Yes.
for example, you could look at Trump's chart, not to get political or anything, but he has a very strong sun moon opposition that was born on an eclipse in Sagittarius Gemini. And definitely he has Leo rising, which is ruled by the sun. So he has this egotistical desire to be recognized, that sun in the 10th house.
No.
Yeah. But you have to look at the planet. You can't just say, well, of course, we're doing very basic things here. We're not, we're we're learning to interpret the chart though. And when you're interpreting the chart, the sun is probably one of the first planets you're going to look at because you're going to know, is it a Virgo or is it a what? What is it? Definitely. And what aspects the sun is making, like oppositions to the moon or squares to what planet, to or what is going on with the is the sun in its exaltation? Is it in its detriment? Is it in its fall? Those energies in and of itself is going to give you something about how to use the alchemical expression of the sun in a more positive way than a negative way. And if you see those events happening early on in life, you can help a child to understand, how they are thinking only of themselves or being egotistical instead of being a leader with that energy, being someone that can help others to express their most positive traits. Sorry, took too long.
Not a problem. Let's give one more example. How about Saturn? Just about everybody has a negative Saturn. What would you do for that?
Go party.
Anybody have
think-
ideas?
I was
My-
thinking, oh,
Go,
My husband
RJ.
has Saturn conjunct the sun and
I think
Mercury.
RJ.
well, it's probably wrong, but I was thinking Venus.
It is
That's right.
Venus.
Oh,
Venus
it
is the
okay,
yes.
okay.
So if you have a negative Saturn, how would you apply that in life? How would you use Venus in life?
I believe, I think is that the domestic thinking of family?
Venus is
Like-
creativity.
Oh, I thought it was like something about family in the home or something. No?
That would be silver. That's the moon.
Oh, sorry. Creativity.
Creativity.
Do art, some coloring, things like, or art projects.
Anytime you're depressed, which is a Saturnine type of activity, what could you do to overcome that?
I listen to music, do deep breathing, yoga.
There you go.
I have colored before the adult, coloring books.
Anytime you associate a creative activity with a down and out Saturnine activity, you're fluxing it. You're changing it.
Okay.
It's
Take up
June.
rest and-
If
rest and
June, if you're
recreation
talking,
are part of
your
that.
microphone's off. Go ahead, Brian. What'd you say?
I have a rest and recreation is also a part of Venus. So going to having nice social events.
Yes.
So being
Mhm.
surrounded in society and not like don't go to a like a lecture on something complicated. Go to a party where you're socializing and resting and recovering that social energy is a big part of it as well. But Richard has his hand raised, so I'll let him speak.
So I know it's popular to think of Saturn as negative, but I've tried to think of Saturn as not negative, but sobering lessons that we're supposed to learn from life.
You would be correct.
I am okay. All right.
Yeah. It's just that a negative Saturn usually implies that the person doesn't like to learn those lessons in life, or they find the drudgery of life to be very overcoming. Positive Saturns like that. There are a few people with positive Saturns, and they usually drive me crazy. They are so detailed and authoritative, and everything has to be written out perfect and step by step, whereas I just jump from one to another intuitively. But yes, there are positive Saturns and negatives, It's just that most people tend to have a negative Saturn.
I
But yeah, Saturn is the great teacher of life. Go ahead, June.
I try to think of Saturn in the natal chart as the psychological influence of the father or the man in your life, say 0 to 7 years old. So if you look at your Saturn and you have negative aspects with Saturn, then you probably have had negative lessons to learn with that authority figure in your life, or any authority figure as you get older, teachers, things of that sort. And you tend to be very,
Narrow-minded.
yeah, overly active about judgmental decisions about uh, uh, authorities and things of that sort. And that gets you into trouble in the normal reaction of becoming socialized in the outside world. So Venus, the opposite, is get into community, make friends, go to parties, dance a lot, or even dance by yourself if you're down and out with it, getting too mental.
That sounds good. Brother Mackey, what do you have to say?
Blessings, greetings, salutations, brothers and sisters. Since she was talking about Saturn and we're on Saturn, I just wanted to say that I've been contemplating on Saturn here recently, and just noticing it's all about order and just taking care. Basically, I've been seeing some people in the inner circle here that they just don't like basic order, and it could be keeping your things organized, the keeping the stuff, your area clean. But I see through ritual and the what we were talking about last time, the Freemasonic element, that that order of that and that divine everyday living uh helps to apply practically that order and why it's necessary. And I've been looking at it differently, but it's just the basic. It to me, it's like the foundation of anything that you want to do before you set out. You have to have that order, and I think that's why it has the ring around it to get everything circumscribed within that confinement, because you don't want to get too far out of order and get far out with things. And everything is balanced, but that's my piece. I yield.
A unique way of painting Saturn with a ring around it.
I agree with that thought on Saturn. I think Saturn does get a bad rap, but Saturn's the discipline part and the consistency part of your spiritual practice, your routines. They say if you're having trouble with your finances, you want to bring Saturn energy into it, make a budget. You know what I mean? It's that very simple way of just quantifying and trying to get order to those things that may be a little bit out of order the best you can, organizing it, structuring it so you can understand it and act upon it.
Anybody else?
Katie has her hand raised, Doc.
Oh, Katie, go ahead. Oh, you got to put your
not
microphone
to,
on.
yeah, not to trash Saturn again, but I'd heard from a famous astrologer recently, what if Saturn was the illusions and not necessarily Neptune? Because technically boundaries are illusions. Yeah.
Okay. What
And
do you
that
think of that?
Neptune is the one that breaks us free of that.
Okay. I'd like to hear your opinion. What do you think of that?
I have 6 planets in Capricorn.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry. So that means you're
So-
really down to earth.
Yes. So, but also my son being an Aquarius, the air, I feel like I do need that structure. I do need the boundaries, because I can get real weird with it, and I'll keep bringing up reincarnation and whatnot. But
Well, reincarnation is a good subject. There's an entire book written on it by Ken Stone. It's a compendium of all the reincarnation items that were in the Brotherhood of Light teachings. And it's pretty good. It brings you down to what's scientific and what isn't. But we'll save that for another day and try to convince you different. Anybody else have something?
I was
Stony.
thinking that to be on this plane of existence, this is form, so that Saturn has its usefulness. You know what I mean? Like the structure.
Most definitely.
That's all I got.
Stony, I see over there, and he looks like he's really wanting to say something.
Oh no, I'm
But,
listening. Listening. This is wonderful.
Well, then your mind is projecting outward.
Definitely so.
Okay, well, it keeps coming back to me saying you've got something to say. You've
Okay.
got some questions.
Oh, certainly. They're all there, but they seem to be answered in the order that I'm asking them somehow.
Okay. Well, then what's the next one that we're going to put in order?
Well, you've
That-
already talked about the sun and Saturn, and then it was we've talked about Neptune a little bit and Venus. What's left? Mercury. We've talked about Mercury and
Mercury.
Mars.
Mercury, there you go. What do you think? What do you have?
Well, I'm looking at what were you saying about Mercury and its affiliation with the mind? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so the flux to that would be iron. Is it iron? What are we doing with the Mercury?
That's iron, resolve.
Right. So which is Mars, correct?
Yes.
Which is affiliated with a lot of anger and hostilities. Is that also correct?
Well, it is if it's negative.
If it's
Mercury's actually flux with Jupiter. Silver
Yeah,
is
in
flux with
true
iron.
sense.
Oh, not
but
Mars. Gotcha.
But if you're looking at resolve, that is Mars.
Understood. It's starting to make more sense. Again, this is my first time, and so I've been reading a lot of the information that I've been sent, and this is the first opportunity I've had to actually join you guys. So thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. And if you have any questions at all, this is the place. This is
Indeed.
purely an open discussion on anything. We're not confined to any one book or one summary or any one type of affiliation of astrology, alchemy, magic. It's open to anything you want to bring up.
I just constantly have questions about everything all the time. So this is a good place to probably field a lot of those just suggestions and see who else is like-minded, truly.
This is the place, yes.
And so I think I'm starting to learn that. So thank you for that opportunity.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
So Doc,
Go ahead.
I think I'm starting on some lucidic degree thing. You know, I remember you mentioned something to the effect that, we can be starting like anytime. So something happened that I want to share with you.
Go ahead.
I invited someone to go somewhere with me. Hello?
Yeah, you're cutting out. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I invited someone to go somewhere with me on Tuesday, and they had to wait to receive a package. And so I said, hey, let's put some positive thought and power out there. And we agreed that we pray. So we didn't say a prayer together, like that way. But anyway, we were both hoping. So I sent an email to myself just to have, in case however it turned out. And I sent an email to myself saying, okay, I hope that the package would arrive between, like a good time for it to come would be between 8 and 9 a.m., but no later than 11:30 a.m. Well, the person couldn't go with me because they did not receive the package in time. And this is related to their job. So they couldn't just not be there to get it. So, but then later on when we talked, they said that I was right. The package actually did come at 10:52, not to their door, but to the rent office complex, for them to get it. So the package did arrive. And so I wanted to know, does that somehow count? Because I was actually throwing what I call spiritual darts at this thing, like let it come, so they can, come and join us. So it actually turned out that it worked. And so I was just wondering, like, is it count as one of the, I don't know if that's ESP or one of the things, I'm not sure which one, but does that count?
Well, yes and no, but let me explain how the Lucidic degrees work.
Okay.
Well, first of all, let me just make a real brief survey. Who here really knows about Lucidic degrees other than June and Peg and Brian?
Well, I read what you guys sent, in the.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Let me explain Lucidic degrees. They are basically practicum degrees that you practice a certain type of psychic venture. In the case of RJ, what she probably was into at that moment was foreseeing or clairvoyance, or possibly precognition, hard to say. Was she seeing at a distance, which is clairvoyance, or was she seeing something in the future that hadn't happened yet? That's hard to say, and that has to be designated exactly which way that is going to go. Now, it can be used as a practice toward one of the Lucidic degrees, which would be clairvoyance or precognition, but it's not actually control of that Lucidic degree. Every Lucidic degree requires control, which means you have to be able to turn it on and turn it off.
Got you, Freddie.
Somebody have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to turn it on and off. You have to have control over that degree. If it's clairvoyance and you're trying to see at a distance, it takes a lot of practice in order to gain control. And it doesn't mean that you are right every time it happens, but it
Right.
does mean that when you attempt to do it, you turn it on. And it's not active any other time other than when you turn it on. That's your control. That basically is what Zane says is the main part of the Lucidic degrees, control, turning it on and off, which means you are the one that determines when it's going to happen, and not that it comes randomly to you. Now, random things do come. They come all the time to everybody, but you can't claim it as a control for a Lucidic degree unless you can show practice toward that, and you've turned it on and certain thing happened and it was verified. Those are the things that you would have to show as your control.
I got verification. The
Go ahead.
person, I do have, that's why I sent the email to myself before it actually happened.
And that
then
would be.
And then I also got from a messaging app with the person to tell me that I was correct. They did not know until later that day. Yeah.
That's your practice for that control. That actually shows that you're turning it on and you got verification.
Right.
By your sending an email to yourself, you turned it on. Maybe unconsciously at that point, but in the future, you'll be able to say, this is going to be what's going to happen. And you're turning it on at that point. Usually people have a key word for those sort of things. A standard Shazam, and your unconscious knows exactly what you want to do. And then you get your verification. those are the practices that we go through in order to fulfill the elucidic degrees.
And do you have to do that for a year? Like
6 months.
so I need 6 of those things.
Well, you need 6 months worth. So it means practicing from the other day, from here on in through 6 months, and continue that practice and show it. You have to go into Saturn mode and keep a log.
Okay.
Hey, Doc, can I ask we'll get to your question, Logan. I want to ask a quick clarifying question about this. So there's the example of her wanting to know when the package was going to arrive, as opposed to her trying to project her will onto the universe to make it arrive when she wants it to arrive. Can you talk about the distinctions between those two things? So, you know, you can pray for when, like, knowledge of when it'll come, or you can pray for knowledge that it will come at this, not knowledge, but you pray for it to happen when you want it to happen. So you're not necessarily trying to receive, you're actually trying to project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm
Okay.
saying?
Here's what I wrote. Here's what I wrote on my email. When will this person's package arrive?
Right.
Between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., but not later than 11:30 a.m. Those are my exact words.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just sort of asking what sort of the difference and what degree would go with like manifesting your will versus receiving information, you know?
Manifesting the will is always psychokinesis. It means you are directing your energy toward an event to make it happen. And the
Yes,
universe
typically they
or
talk about that moving the object, but it's just that sort of moving the object, but it's, you know, not trying to roll your pen across the desk, but influence the astral world to create a result that you want.
Yes, it's very similar to what we had done last week in order to visualize tonight.
Right.
We imposed our will upon the astral plane, and that is a form of psychokinesis.
So what I did was a form of psychokinesis.
Yours was actually more in the line of precognition, which is you're wanting to know a future event, and you're wanting it to show a certain time, and you're wanting to verify whether it's coming at that time. It's more along the line of precognition, but it can overlap with clairvoyance, which is seeing at a distance. But if you're looking any time past the present, it tends to go into precognition.
Okay. Well, I'll keep a log because stuff happens to me all the time. So I'll keep a log. Yeah.
Keep a log and turn it on when you want to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I interject right here, please? I'm looking for I'm looking for where to raise my hand on my tube, but I can't find it. But I'm only on lesson 5. I'm beginning lesson 5. And I came across what is known is all this in a sense directed thinking.
Yes.
Which is in a sense still spiritual alchemy, right?
Well, spiritual alchemy is a transmutation antidote type of system, and directed thinking is a magical system. It's part of the magical system. Induced emotion, directed thinking are the two most important idioms of magic. You have to have those two. There's actually a few more, but those are the two main ones. But yes, when you're projecting forward, that's basically induced thinking.
Thinking.
Directed thinking.
Yes.
June, you have your hand up.
Yes, it's very important to understand that magical thinking or induced vision or what you want to create is associated with a positive emotion, because the emotion, and especially a positive emotion, is how quickly the manifestation takes place.
The emotion causes that desire to rise, right? Those vibrations.
To manifest.
Emotion is the energy behind your thought.
Right. Right. And usually, if you have a strong emotion, or you have more than one person, even like a partner manifesting the same congruent thought and emotion behind it is very strong on a positive level, then
Okay, let me just
easier to
shut something off here.
manifest. It's easier to manifest that thought or vision into the material world. But we can do that with negative
All right, I got
thinking
it
if
under
we don't have control of our thinking and our emotions.
Actually, I was listening to music on my computer, and
Who was that?
That was Pat. Apparently he's got a TV in the background. He turned his mic off, so he's good.
Yeah. So
along that line, Junius, I might add that this is why groups in a circle can actually accomplish a lot, because more together inducing their emotions, keeping their emotions on the same level, the same type of energy, and keeping the directed thought present before them, they can actually accomplish a lot. And that's usually used a lot in healing.
right.
A group can get together and heal using that method.
And we did some practices years ago.
We still do it.
In the 60s and 70s, I guess, so we still do that kind of thing.
At what time is it?
We did this practice with a group about directed thinking and emotion
That's when you're working
and
on the wall.
levitation,
That's on the
and
floor.
how to lift the person right off their chair. That was amazing and really astonishing when it happened, I thought.
We have done that in previous groups where we created an orb in the middle of the group.
Right.
It's amazing what you can do in a magical circle.
And emotions that are congruent on the same,
yes.
we used to call it vibratory levels, on the same vibratory levels. Yeah.
That book, Esoteric Psychology, is your basic book to get into the magical ideals.
Right.
What was the name of that book one more time?
Esoteric Psychology.
Thank you.
Book 5 or 9.
Hey, Doc, I see that Richard has his hand raised, but Logan, I don't know if you want to ask your question. You did put a question in the chat.
Oh. Is there any exploration and or explanation between reincarnation versus metempsychosis and the differences? Okay, explain metempsychosis so that we all have an idea of what you're talking about there.
Yeah, that's what I've been kind of wondering, because I've seen them kind of compared and used interchangeably. And I think that I've kind of come across that metempsychosis is kind of like a more Western idea of reincarnation, but they're not necessarily different. But I kind of am not necessarily sure if there's a different type of understanding between like the essence of somebody physically versus spiritually, or if it's more of if it's a different type of concept in general.
I can sort of approach that.
Go ahead.
Metempsychosis is very similar to our idea of reincarnation, is that your spirit comes back, but in a different form. You don't get stuck in one form forever. So in other words, we believe in the progressive evolution of the soul. And so you started out as a mineral, your spirit moves forward and would manifest in a plant life, then maybe a lower animal form, then maybe a squirrel, whatever you happen to be. And then, but we believe once you've manifested in the physical form of a human, since there's no other physical forms that are evolutionarily beyond that we're aware of in this, the world that we live in, The next step is that spirit is manifested in your astral body, in your spiritual body, etc. So metapsychosis is very similar in the way we see reincarnation, that you don't sort of get stuck in a level forever. You actually progress you just carry forward the learnings. And eventually, when you get to the astral realm, is where if you didn't learn the lessons, you sort of stick there for a while and process that until you can work through all the sort of discordant aspects of your thinking, emotions, etc., that would limit you in that world. I don't know if that sort of corresponds to how you say it.
Yeah, perfect. But I would like to know what is Logan's viewpoint on reincarnation?
That's what I'm still trying to understand. I think that, there's a lot of different aspects of it. Of course, I think they're all an amalgamation of the same thing. Reincarnation in a physical sense, you have a lot, like your cells when you die, just like you can, being able to nourish everything the same way that we get nourishment. And so that in itself is a way that essence, like not necessarily essence, but yeah, essence of you lives on in a certain way. But then also spiritually, the way that your soul is able to live on is a way different thing, I'm understanding, than how your physical and just a physical body lives on. So I'm still trying to understand and kind of gather a bunch of understanding so I can kind of look at the differences and kind of see the logic in it all.
Did you by any chance get through book 2?
No, I'm actually on book 2 right now.
How about the
so I
Facts and
just finished
Fancies
book
about
1.
reincarnation?
I haven't, no.
Okay, get into that. That's I think your second to last chapters, and that gives you a lot of information on the Brotherhood of Light's viewpoint on reincarnation. And essentially, it says that there is reincarnation, but not a regressive reincarnation. It is always progressive, moving forward, which means basically that biologically you move up to the next highest level of being. And you start out as mineral, then up to plant, animal, and then man once, because the next highest level after man is the astral bodies. And there's a lot of different levels on the astral plane. But to regress is it's not healthy, for one. Who wants to come back as a lower animal or who wants to come back as a cow after they've been a human? What are you going to learn there? What's the object of a lifespan if you're not progressing forward? But read that, and I think you'll have a different viewpoint on it, and then come back and give us your opinion on it.
Yeah, well, as you say that, and as I'm visualizing it in my head, it's kind of like there is a constant progression. As a human, I am consuming these things that are progressively down the stream. So my body is made up of things that are a progressive upward trend. And so it makes sense that the progressive upward trend of a human is the consciousness and the spiritual awareness and the then ability of reality through consciousness, and that being the upward trend. That's what I'm kind of visualizing as you were talking, and me trying to think about that progressive trend.
Okay, I think you've got it there. Yeah, read it and tell us next time what you thought of it. That's always a good subject. Richard, you got your hand up again.
This question comes from out in right field, and it requires a little setup, so please bear with me. It's just more or less an idle curiosity, but my mother, who was not into the occult, she was a Christian woman, so but she had a temper. And many, many years ago, when she was pregnant with my little brother, Thanksgiving weekend was approaching, and my father, who was an engineer, had requested that he not have any overtime scheduled. They had several experiments going on at work, and they required nights and weekends hours. And he said, listen, Sandy's expecting, her due date's drawing near. And initially his boss said, yeah, we're not going to schedule for nights or weekends during that time. But his boss wanted to get out of town for the long Thanksgiving weekend with his girlfriend on a ski vacation. And so my dad got stuck with monitoring this experiment across the weekend. And when he told my mom this news, my mom blew up, and she said in her wrath, "Oh, I hope he has a heart attack and dies." The following Monday or Tuesday, my dad comes home from work, and my mom could tell that something was wrong. And he said, my boss died on the ski slopes this past weekend. And my mom always felt a little bit accountable for that. Now, it defies logic, but I guess I'm asking, since we're talking about these lucidic ideas.
No, she did not cause it.
Well, I know she didn't cause it. Is that all? She didn't cause it, or is there something else you want to say?
Well, go ahead. I'm just gonna let you finish up what you were gonna say.
Well, I pretty much finished up. I just wanted
Okay.
to.
Okay, no, she did not cause it. But what's the probability that maybe she foresaw it? And in her anger, in a very heavy emotional state, she was psychically open to a lot of things. And directing her anger toward the boss was just an unconscious way of acknowledging that he might be having a heart attack in the future. What do you think?
Well, all I can do is tell you how it affected my mother. She had a Herculean temper the rest of her life, but when she could tell she was getting to the point where she was out of control, she would refuse to talk and she would just growl because she felt so bad about that event. I'm not saying, kind of like, I'm not saying nothing, I'm just gonna growl. That's how my mom was.
Well, that's how she dealt with it, and it probably fared well for her. Without knowing your mother or how her temper was, very hard to judge on that. But I would judge based on experiences from many others who've had outbursts similar. No, they don't really cause it. And I'm leaning more toward the fact that they foresaw it than anything else.
Thank you.
I just thought they were called German. So my grandpa was anyway. Not to lessen that, sorry.
That's still the better excuse.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Brother Mackey has a hand up.
Oh, yes. Peace. Yeah, interesting story. Sorry about that. I was just thinking regarding the reincarnation. I was talking to a brother one time about that, and I was thinking, the avatars of the religions are they that's what they talk about is attaining a nirvana or a samadhi here on earth, so they don't have to do it again. So the conundrum came in where, okay, well, Yeshua, who we call Jesus, he's supposed to return. And so is the Dalai Lama and the return of Buddha. And I was like, so if they've already attained perfection, then why are they returning? And that was just interesting to contemplate, for our inquiries. But what he looked at it was as we have like positions, like planets have a position, and it may not necessarily be, or it may be that same soul, but it's just that entity has to be here on earth for whatever balance. And yeah, that's my piece. I yield.
Very good. You are aware of where the actual reincarnation started?
No, I'm not. Where is that?
Okay, it was about I think it was 6th or 7th century AD. It was started by the Brahmins and the Jains of the Hindu faith. The Jains basically were beginning to revolt against the Brahmins in India, and they needed to come up with something that would quell them, keep them in their place. So they actually invented reincarnation. They told them that they had to suffer whatever lot they had in life in order to progress up to the Brahmin level. The Brahmin people were all those who were going on to the higher realms and were not going to come back. But everybody else below Brahmins, by the caste system, would be coming back. And it was up to them to act correctly and monitor their lives to the best they can, so that they don't have to come back as anything lesser than what they were. And that actually started, and it went over rather well because it stuck. And the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Sikhs and a couple other ones I can't remember, they all took that on and made it a part of their religion and part of their lives. Strangely, Christians and Islamists don't. They don't believe in reincarnation. But anyway, that's where it started. And I got that from my philosophy professor in Asian philosophies. I'm going to guess he was probably right.
And also talks about it in Evolution of Religion.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm working on that book now. That's going to, Peg, if you're still there, that's going to be the next one. It's going to have a supplement.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure you can't.
It's a very handy concept for people in power to make you be satisfied with them being in power and you're not in power.
Surprised both parties haven't adopted it yet.
Yes. I saw Ninty with her hand raised.
Yeah, Ninty, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone. Hi, June. I can't promise I will never ask this question again. I probably will. So, I understand the church's stance on reincarnation, but when it comes to love and romance and thinking you've met someone before in another lifetime, you're not thinking about a lifetime of romance as a vegetable or an animal, right? What is that experience that you're recreating?
Well, how do you know? Maybe you had a love life in a previous dog life or a previous cat life. Why couldn't that love life be there with you now?
If a vegetable gave me problems, oh my goodness.
Well, hey, potatoes and tomatoes grow together. It's possible.
Maybe you're a bee that pollinated another flower.
That's my
Okay.
only issue with reincarnation is
Okay.
those
I'll
experiences.
explain Zane's method or ideal on that. If you're looking at, have you met your true love or your twin partner that came with you when you were just differentiated? Probably not. What you're actually getting is an infatuation with a person who probably is very much like you, who probably came up through the same ranks as you did, through the same plant, mineral, animal lifetimes. You've probably met many times before. And what you might be seeing is an old friend that is just calling to you, but it may not be your actual true soulmate. And it just might be another love that you've had in another life. And on that note, there are probably many people here who are now human and their other love life or their soulmates are probably still as a vegetable, haven't progressed yet. What are you going to do? Wait for them? No, you're going to progress too. You're going to go on and they're going to go on. And eventually you're going to come together in the divine levels, reunite as soulmates again. Zane says your probability of finding a soulmate in this one or this lifetime is pretty scarce. He won't say it hasn't happened, but it's scarce. So right now, accept the one you got.
Can you ask the astral these questions?
Can you what?
Ask the astral realm or the...
Yes, you can. If you can actually access the astral realm, there's a lot of information there that you can get. And maybe a soulmate is already there on the astral, possibly waiting for you to catch up. Yes, you might even be able to contact them on the astral, but there will be no actual mating in a sense at that point until you've all reached a certain level, usually on the divine level. But yes, you can access information on the astral and possibly get what you're looking for. It's called the Akashic Records.
Thank you.
Anybody else got something?
I'm gonna piggyback a little bit to what Katie was talking about with Saturn and Neptune.
Okay.
And how Saturn is maybe full of illusions, and the Neptune's supposed to break them. I kind of resonate with that because what boundaries you put for one person may not work with another person. So in a way, that's kind of an illusion to the other person that you're putting the boundary for that may not work with another one. So yeah.
Okay.
You
I
know,
guess one
along
would
those
have to
lines, the antidote for Saturn is Venus, and Neptune is the upper
Is the higher.
octave to Venus. So it does make sense that
Yes.
Yeah.
that would work.
June, you got your hand up?
It just appears to me that you need to understand that you can create in your life, but you cannot create another person's life. Oh. And if the more you try to do that, you lose control of your own capacity to manifest on a positive level. The expression of love is the key. Like Richard said in the chat, love the one you're with. You know, enjoy the happiness you have today with the one you're with. Live life to the fullest. That's the thing that's what we're trying to do. Live without those the wants that and the to know the difference between wants and needs. You know, we come in this world alone. We usually leave this world alone. But in the meantime, like he started at the beginning, that last sentence he read, we're here, and we need to understand that we're here to work on the subconscious immortality of the soul. And
Very good.
this is temporary. The lessons we learn in love and relationships are important. I'm not saying they're not. But you don't have to get stuck in another person's
Reality.
how they react to what you give. As
You
far
have
as
to be, I think you have to be comfortable enough with yourself before you can be in a healthy relationship. Being in a relationship's just an add-on for me. I'm comfortable being by myself like for the rest of my life. It's just an add-on.
Yeah.
So I don't really need a relationship. I'm in one right now, but I'm fine either way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
It's
hope he
just a
didn't hear that, or
benefit.
she.
but
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's always good
Yeah.
to have that Libra energy where you can have a person that thinks on the same vibratory level, is putting out the same emotional energy that you are trying to raise yourself up to. Uh, and as the older you get, the less you need that physical presence
Mm.
and physical touches,
Yeah.
whereas the emotional is more internal and astrally projected, I think, and mentally compatible person is what you need to sit on the front porch and talk about things like this,
Huh.
you know?
Zane does talk about the best crucible for alchemy, spiritual alchemy, and learning the lessons that you want to learn are from your family unit. That is where that's, where you get the most heightened emotions, etc., that you can work through is in your family, and that is the best place to, sort of refine yourself is through your interactions with those that you're closest to, because we can be the meanest to the people we're closest to are the most loving.
Good point.
Tony, you have
The
something?
one you're with is probably getting you ready for the one you're going to be with. So thank them for that, because they're helping you grow.
Michael, we haven't heard from you.
I've just been listening. Thanks for noticing.
What do you think?
I was thinking my question was about the Lucidic degrees. I mean, I didn't realize there was more afterwards, more homework. But I intended to go through the courses and then sort of to go through them again, or the books. I mean, when I was done. But so you're saying there's extra work after that.
You're breathing.
Never stops.
You're still here.
I think maybe,
Love you,
Dr.
Michael. I love you.
I think the
I
Lucidic
mean, I
degrees
don't
are not
mind.
necessarily the same, that you're not studying new material. You're learning to apply and use what you've learned. So the first lessons are to give you the grounding and the knowledge. And then in the Lucid degrees, you're trying to apply that in a systematic way to develop those abilities and those attributes, whatnot.
And it goes in a spiraling motion. You get it at different vibratory levels. Sometimes it feels like the same lesson at first, but you realize it's not. It's more than what you did the first time.
Yeah,
As
that's
you get older, you'll see
good.
how that works.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, it's just at the moment I'm full,
Yeah.
I'm full. That's it. I'm, just.
No, not ever.
So there's no more books. There's not a lot more books. Now you got to study all these books. It's about, okay, let's talk about what interplane knowledge is and how we begin to control it and use it to bring light to ourselves and light to others, etc.
It's good. Thank you.
Excellent. Michael, the lucidic degrees are the more enjoyable parts.
Yeah.
Michael, do they
Right.
tell you you look like Simon Cowell?
That's a new one. That's a new one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not dreading them at all. I'm pleased with that. But it was just my plan. I thought I'd start again. If I was, because currently, like, if I'm stuck on something, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just move on instead of dwell on it in the books. And that was it. It's just like, well, maybe I won't get back to reviewing them all as I planned in my head. So, but that was it. That's good. I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased that there's more, actually.
It's like when you get a physics degree, you learn everything there's about physics, but then you run experiments. You're not learning physics anymore, you're running experiments. And that's sort of the way the lucidity degrees are.
And
They're
life
called
is
experiments.
eternal. Life is eternal. It's not just in the physical. You're going to be learning more and more and more as you expand into the celestial and the astral and the celestial. There's never any need to think that you can't expand your mind. The universe is infinite.
Yeah, I mean, I really I haven't stopped learning, and I'm interested in everything.
Right.
It's just this this talk about the antidotes and the Saturn. Like, I really need right now to do the Jupiter Venus thing. My mind's, I need to have some fun and take a, and stop being so much in my head. Being, prominent Mercury by far, being a Gemini with a Virgo stellium, I just need time. It's taken this long to realize, but I need to have some fun.
Yeah.
So
I have a strong Gemini too, a very strong Gemini and Mercury. And it took me a long time to realize you can't think your way to a immortality. It's not, let go, let God at a certain point, right? Do your part, but just realize you're not God. There's more than you can ever know, and let go, do the best you can, and trust the rest up to, the cosmic forces.
Good advice.
That's great advice. Yeah.
I'm hypocritical by saying it, by the way. I'm being a hypocrite.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I get it. Yeah.
You've taken the first step. You're here.
I felt like I was in the same position you were, Michael, and I have a strong Mercury is my strongest planet. And I've started following the moon. That's what helps me tremendously of learning to let go and stick with something that is a constant. That especially in the way of emotions and whatnot, because that's the biggest hang up that I get.
Good. Thank you. Yeah. It's good to know that other people are going through it, because it can get lonely. And I think I even read that little section in one of the books. Will Zane was saying, not I'm not going to say it right, but for somebody to want to continually learn, it's not that common in life. And I was surprised to find it in, I think it was a book 11 or something. Yeah. So it's nice to be here. I'm pleased. Thank you, everyone.
Glad you're here.
Love you. Love you.
That's a big part of why we have this, Michael, because we realize that seekers are scattered around and it can be very lonely. And so we come together as like-minded individuals to support each other in our, with a joint understanding or a joint goal.